This is a completely horrifying film. And my gosh, it just resonates. Let me start with Julia. First of all, I would think directing a horror film of this level is like conducting an orchestra. You have to get everything right, and there's a rhythm to it.
That is very accurate. Like that is exactly what it is. And I feel extremely lucky because I had the best mu like musicians I could ever ask for. Our cast and crew were absolutely phenomenal. And as you know, having seen this, like this movie very much lives or dies by the performance of our two leading ladies, Kate
Yeah.
Burton and Colby Minifie, and they just knocked it out of the park. So they made my job easy.
You say that, but nothing is easy, and especially with something that has to be so um, um, reliant on your actors. And Colby, wow, what an amazing job you did. It's like I said, this is one of the most scary films I think I've seen, and I've lived a long time.
Really?
Too long, maybe. Um,
No.
I mean, wow, what a performance.
Hey, thanks. Thank you. Wow, thanks.
What was it like putting on Megan's skin, so to speak?
It was a lot of time in prosthetics, lots of skin grafts from people. No, it was, when I read the script, I immediately connected to it. And I remember in the audition, I couldn't help but get emotional when doing, sometimes you're like trying to squeeze out the tears, being like, I should be crying right now. But no, in this, it was very easy to be emotionally connected to this character because it's so well written. And because Julia wrote something that was so honest and specific, a very specific mother-daughter relationship, and it felt, it was all on the page. And uh and I will also say, like, the I really, really loved making this movie
Mm.
because Julia was such a great leader. She was so prepared and willing to trust the people that she hired, which I think is one of the hardest things to do as a writer director. She hired an unbelievable crew. Um, I trusted every single person on that set, and it meant that I could be as free and as committed and as emotionally open as possible, um, and have fun in that grief and drama and screaming and horror. And then on top of that, Julia hired the legend Kate Burton. And so we had like the best time. Kate was so immediately gracious and open and let me sit in her dressing room and chit chat about every single thing that came across my silly little mind every day. And like that, I mean, we all have done theater before. We've said this, but I think having done theater and bringing that to a movie that is quite theatrical, in its making and in its writing, I think was really essential. And we just had the best time, Tony.
I believe
Tony, we
you.
had the best time. And the truth, I love Colby saying she let me sit in my dressing room. Let me sit in her dressing room. First of all, our dressing rooms were like the Grand Central Station for each of us because sometimes if I had to take a nap, I would take it in Colby's room. And, and she would hang in my room. No, listen, it was just, shooting days are long days. And actually, we keep saying over and over about Julia, how meticulous, how extraordinarily well prepared. And I'm gonna just say something, which is that it's interesting to say that, and it's so very, very true, but it's also meticulous and well prepared and so on it for a person in their first feature film, I have worked on few first feature films, and sometimes that is not the case, and it doesn't matter the gender of the director, but it really is, there is something quite astounding about her, even though this is quote unquote her first feature film, the vision, the way she was able to implement her vision and to really, know what her vision was so clearly on the page. We rehearsed for about 4 or 5 days before we started shooting. So by the time we got shooting, we were already really connecting on many different levels. But that is the sort of the foresight of Julia in terms of how do you tell this story if you're going to have a mother and daughter, they've got to really be a mother and daughter. You can't just show up day one and go, "You're my daughter. What's your name?"
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, the way we do a lot of our work is, we literally don't meet our husbands, our children until we, start shooting 15 minutes later. So, it's just a very interesting thing. And I've had a lot of experiences, but this was really special. And as Colby says, the entire enterprise, the whole crew, you know, and here's the thing, we were talking about this earlier, is that, you do something like this and you work on a project like this, you have no idea what's going to happen to it. You think, won't it be, this is wonderful because the experience of being an actor is that you're in the here and now and you're dealing with whatever it is that whatever project you're dealing with. And so to have this, our project, Julia's amazing project, become so widely adored is so thrilling for us that people get what it was that Julia was trying to create.
And
So
Julia, you're such a nice person, but to come up with something this evil and horrific. Wow. Did you get it all out? I mean, is it, you
Well,
know,
you know what? I've still got so many warped and twisted horror ideas in there, so don't worry. There will be more movies.
man, I'm like 70 years old and I was shaking in my seat. I mean, this is just a great film. And congratulations. It's one of my favorite films of the year already. And
Oh,
you guys have done such a great job. Let me start here with Colby though. What do you think audiences will take away with them from watching?
to learn how to let go when someone dies. No, sorry, very seriously. I mean, for me, it is really a very honest depiction of loss and it's very, I mean, I know I have a very close relationship with my family, and my parents, and I know that I will be inconsolable when they go. And I am not looking forward to that day. And I know that I will want to hire Neil Sandilands to come over to my house and do this ritual. But but I also think like this is a very good description of what it means to contend with loss and a very honest description of grief. And when we were at South by, an audience member got up and said, I have just been through this personally, and this was one of the greatest descriptions of what I am currently going through. Uh, and that was really touching to hear, that something that lives in a genre, um, and this movie goes on quite a horror journey, but to have people be connecting to it on a really um, deep emotional level is the dream. And I really hope that people get to experience that when they watch it.
Kate, I'm gonna get the wrap in just a second here. What do you think audiences will take away?
Well, I think that again, what it is it's, it starts as one story and kind of morphs into another. And I think that is, I know that's what, as a person, me reading the script is what excited me about it, is you think, oh yes, this is what this is, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. So I think it's what I love about it is it's true life. It turns into a horror movie. There's comedy in it, where there's even some laughter. And there's just it constantly surprises you. I think that's what it is. I
I
think
think
that
it's
this movie constantly surprises you.
I think it's a surprise from beginning to end. All of you,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I wanted to add this cherry is back in the late 80s, in the late 70s, I met your father, and
Oh my God, you're kidding.
what an honor that was. He was at a Filmex convention or something that in
Oh my,
LA, and I had a chance to spend 5 minutes chatting with him, and what an honor that was. And
oh, thank you, Tony. That's wonderful.
you guys have a great day and enjoy
Thank you.
yourselves.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, Tony.
Pleasure meeting you.